welcome to another video. Today we are going to be playing upgraded Pacifist. This is Whale Pacifist. Pacifist where we don't worry about expenses. For you our card possible to make the deck as powerful as possible. Opponent is playing birds, making us choose a bird. We're going to choose their bird starter add to hand. Who knows what they're doing? They're trying to fix their hand. Big things to go through today. Pay attention. At the end of the video, I will reveal the contest winner. A couple videos back, I told you I have one pack left, a Legendary Fisherman, and I need a new winner, so we'll be picking the winner today. Make sure to stay till the end. You'll see who the winner is. Another fun fact, check out the channel homepage. You get to vote. We're going to be revisiting decks from the year. Vote what deck you want to revisit, and you know, we'll do that one. Make sure to pick the deck that you like the best, you want to see gameplay from. We're going to try and set up a board here. Our opponent has a set card. We don't know what it is. We're going to try and activate this Pacifist. Now, you already saw our opponent Twin Twister popped our Pacifist #1. That's okay. That's 100% fine. Fish Zone are going to search for Ocean Dragonlord. Now, if we can get Jellyfish and Dragonlord on field, our opponent won't be able to summon any more birds. They'll be locked out of water, the wind monsters. So let's try and summon here, but opponent has a negate with the Harpy Feather Storm. So we're stuck with just our Jellyfish, but that's okay, because Pacifist is going to do work here. Let's attack with the Jellyfish, flip up our Sea Stealth attack, and then if our opponent activates a card effect, we're going to get this token, and we can search for either a pop or negate. So we're going to activate Sea Stealth here. We can remove the Jellyfish from the field. Opponent going to activate a spell. Jellyfish is going to negate. Now Jellyfish has done his job. We can banish Jellyfish off the field with the Sea Stealth attack, and we'll only have normal monsters, which means we'll be able to activate the Pacifist hand traps. So gonna get that token, and we're gonna search for Spiral Power. If our opponent summons a bird, we can negate it, and opponent is done. Does not want to see any more of the Pacifist control. Alright, let's go on to the next game. Alright, so I did try a couple different builds. One of the builds I played the Destiny DPE package, and I did end up cutting the DPE because I found these cards are too bricky, and that was really the reason. I wasn't making it that much, and when I was, it was a bit bricky. But this game we got it, so you know, I'm doing the work for you, trying to find the best big money build. And if you're trying to big money build, you gotta use all your wild cards and shove everything into the deck and just see what works. Our opponent is playing Sword Soul. They're gonna Sword Soul it up, make their Sword Soul board, and you've all seen this before. You know what Sword Soul does. Sword Soul makes their level 8 negate monster effect and their Baron de Flirt. And then they're gonna maybe set some back row and they're gonna pass to us. And they probably have 13 hand traps in hand, even though they only have 4 cards. So let's go to our turn and let's see if we can play through this. Now we're gonna make our opponent spooked. Super Poly, not great here. There's no Super Poly fusion monster that can deal with these synchros that I'm aware of. So what we're gonna have to do is try and bait our opponent's negates. So we're gonna activate Fish Sonar. Opponent not gonna negate, Alright, so we get Jellyfish to hand. Let's activate Foolish Barrel Goods and send the Ice Bear to the graveyard. Opponent not negating, so let's activate Ice Bear, and if opponent lets this resolve, we're gonna pull a sneaky on him. Let's activate. Opponent not stopping it. We get the Kaiju, so now we can steal one of our opponent's negates. We're gonna steal that Baron, get that Baron out of here, normal summon the Jellyfish, and now we got another sneaky play. Opponent can negate monster effects with the Grandmaster, but we're gonna activate anyway. Opponent gonna target, and now you're gonna see the sneaky play. Opponent negates. We can set some cards here, but it doesn't matter. This is the sneakiness. It doesn't matter if Jellyfish is negated because the Pacifist still gets sent to the graveyard. And now in our opponent's standby phase, we can activate Sea Stealth attack, and that means we're going to start getting tokens if our opponent does anything. And you're going to see the value of these tokens. These tokens are pretty great. So opponent going to Sword Soul tie here. We're going to negate with our Jellyfish. We do not want Sword Soul Taya making another monster. Opponent gonna try and negate with the Grandmaster. And here's the Sea Stealth trick. We banish the Jellyfish. Because this is an effect that targets, by banishing the Jellyfish, it's not going to work. The target fizzles, no negation. So Jellyfish still negates the Taya. Opponent activated a card effect, which means we get the token. And now we're in good shape because opponent can't attack into us. And we get to search, but opponent's going to negate our search. So they're using an Ash Blossom off the token summon effect. We can get this search every turn, we get the token. So, alright, opponent Ash, but that's fine. Opponent going to battle, not reading cards. They're going to pop their Sword Soul, and they're going to Shame Scoop. Oh, Sword Soul. trying their best, but shame scooping. Shame scooping to Pacific's field spell. Alright, let's go on to the next game. Alright, again, I was still testing out the DPE. I did end up cutting it. Too many bricks. It's a 2-to-1 brick ratio, and you can obviously make the DP with Verite, but I think Verite just using Super Poly is good enough. So that was how I ended the deck. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. Make sure you subscribe if you like this sort of content, because I'll be doing more. Content. We're almost at a 1-year anniversary of this channel, so you know, that's a lot of content. Now we got the typical Ocean Dragon Lord Jellyfish setup. Let's special summon the whale, because you know what? Just go all out here. Why not? We got full attacks. Opponent got an Ice Barrier though. What is opponent doing? We're usually the ones playing Ice Barrier. Opponent adding an Ice Shade Tremor to hand. Is this the mirror? Is this one of you maybe? Well, we'll just have to see. Let's hit opponent for some damage. And then we're going to pass the turn. Make sure on standby phase to activate Sea Stealth attack. Get that Pacificus online. Now I doubt our opponent's going to clear our board of effect monsters, but we'll just have to see. Opponent going to activate Ice Jade Tremora, special summoning the Ocean Dragon Lord. We're going to get ourselves a nice little token here. We can search for a pop or a negate, since we already have the pop in hand. Opponent going to search with Ocean Dragon Lord. We're going to negate with the Jellyfish. We know the power of the search. We don't want our opponent getting their own Sea Stealth attack. Negate that effect, and opponent is done. They got Umi controlled by Umi Control. Alright, well, who knows what opponent was doing there. Let's go on to the next game. Alright, now we're back to the build where I was playing Adventure. And, you know, playing Adventure probably a bit better than DPE. It's got less bricks, it's got more extenders. But I'm not really feeling the Adventure package. I think there's too much anti-synergy with all these wind monsters. We get locked into waters a lot. And the Adventure package also stops you from activating normal monster effects, which means you can't Jellyfish summon from your hand and use the Adventure package in the same turn. So you know, I really feel like maybe I should just take this out and replace it with hand traps. But let me know in the comments what you think. We're just blinging this deck out, playing as many URs as possible. An Adventure package, definitely a lot of URs. Opponent, very unfortunately, is able to summon the Bahamut Shark. We were saving our negate for the Link one that searches for the field spell, but we are going to have to negate this Bahamut Shark, because if they get Toad online, you know, they get to negate and steal. So just gotta negate the Bahamut Shark, nothing else we can do here. Unfortunately, we bricked a little bit here by drawing Dracobag and Griffin Rider. We would have preferred to draw one of the 3 Adventure starters. I guess 4 Adventure starters if you count Foolish Burial, which will send the Adventure card to the graveyard, start the combo. Opponent making a Crystal Heart, so their monster is going to be unaffected by card effects, which basically means our only out here is a Kaiju. Or is it? Now we're going to show the out. It's a Giant Marincess. This card is going to have many hundreds of attack points on account of how many equip spells are attached to it. And it's unaffected by card effects. Opponent going to discard to special summon a monster, and then they're going to start boosting their attack and drawing cards here. We draw a little awkwardly. Ice Jade Tremora not really going to help us out here. We can try and use it to extend. So what we're going to do here, though, we got a note. We're going to special summon the Wandering Griffin Rider, summon the Jellyfish, try and special summon the Ice Jade Tremora onto the field. But our opponent has an Imperm, so they're not going to negate our Jellyfish. That is a little unfortunate that they had that, but there's not much we can do now. But we got a note. Well, let's make the Verite, and this is what I'm recommending. You got to keep this in here. Verite, make this Dark type. Can't target this to make it dark, it's unaffected. And then Super Poly, make the Starving Venom Fusion. Now, unfortunately, this is a little awkward. I mean, this is I would call this unfortunate, but when you activate Verite to copy Super Poly's effect, you don't have to discard a card as cost. We really would have liked to discard this Ice Barrier to the graveyard, because it would have let us search for Ocean Dragon Lord. We could have just special summoned him with Tremora, start searching for our Umi, start searching for our Sea Stealth attacks. If you check, we got Pacificus in the graveyard. We could have searched for Sea Stealth, activated. We had our whole engine online, but because of that negate, and because we can't discard with Super Poly, that's not going to work. So we're going to use Starving Venom. Starving Venom can just gain attack equal to the opponent's monster that was special summoned from the extra deck. So we got 8,000 attack points. Pretty sweet. Set this Ice Barrier and hope for the best. Pass back to the opponent. So that was pretty sweet that we were able to out that whole Marincess boss that was unaffected by card effects just with the Starving Venom. So definitely worth keeping a Super Poly in the deck, I think. If you got the wild cards for it, Super Poly is a great answer, and there's so much Despia that Super Poly against Despia is just like it's a free hit. It's so good against them. Opponent gonna set up their entire board again. Since Marincess is extremely resilient, they're not very interactive with the opponent's deck. Like, they aren't gonna do a lot to us other than make a big beat stick. But if you destroy them, they just kind of come back in the next turn if you're not able to destroy the field spell. And unfortunately, we didn't have a way to get rid of that field spell right now. If we had Pacifist, we could have maybe got the token, search, and special summon, but unfortunately our awkward clunky hand has just a Dracoback Rider in it. If there was a Link 1 normal monster, maybe that would have been helpful. Could have returned something to hand. Now opponent is set up with their Marincess Aqua Argonaut. They're gonna special summon a monster and return our Starving Venom Fusion to hand, so they can attack directly. I really was expecting them to negate this, but they just let the Ice Barrier turn their attack to 0. So interesting play here. Now we're gonna hope we draw something relevant. We'll just have to see. Opponent going into Splash Mage. See, he made their attack 0 after they did all of that again. They can do another set of summoning and make a Marbled Rock here. So you can see how resilient this deck is. Like, we dealt with their boss monster twice, and they're able to come back again the third time. So let's draw here, and the awkward draws just keep coming. Phantasm Spiral Power does nothing if we don't control a normal monster on the field. We're gonna activate Ice Bear and special summon our Ocean Dragon Lord, but it's not gonna matter because our opponent has a negate in hand with the Marincess Wave. We don't have any way to stop it. We could have got a Kaiju'd their Marincess Marble Rock, but they would have got a return to hand and they could have made the boss monster again, so not really enough to stop them here. Maybe it would have been better to get the Kaiju though, thinking about it. Kaiju at least would have potentially let us live for another turn, but now opponent can return their Marincess boss monster to the extra deck, and then they are easily able to make a level 4, and we're not going to be able to stop it. They already had the Marincess Wave back in hand, so we're not going to be able to affect them. We need a Kaiju answer again, and you know what? Sometimes you just gotta see the writing on the wall and get out of there. Let's do one more game. All right, another super clunky hands. Again, some of these cards just feel so bricky. You're gonna get in situations where you're gonna feel like your hand's Brick City, but other times you have God hands. So one thing to note about this deck, even when it's fully blinged out, is that the Pacifist variant with the adventure package, there's so many random little bricks. Opponent's playing birds again. A lot of birds going around. I think birds are pretty good against Despia, especially going first. You can just lock them out of summoning completely with that barrier statue. So we'll see if we can play through it. Pacifist is pretty resilient and attacks from some interesting angles with the spells, so we'll see what happens. Our opponent set up with the bird and the trap that lets them start summoning on our turn. We draw into the right. At least that lets us use our Dracoback, so that's good news. Well, let's search for the Faithful Adventure, get that token. Opponent going to start summoning. Now we're worried they're going to get that bird or the rich, what is it? There's a monster that you tribute summon and then you send 2 things into the deck. I think it's I forget what they're called. They're big tribute monsters. Anyway, opponent's not going for that. They're going for the Mist Valley Apex Avian, which will make a bunch of negates, but they're not even going to bother to summon. They're just going to make a barrier statue, stop us from summoning non-wind monsters. Luckily, the Wandering Griffin Rider is actually a wind monster. We can discard this Dracoback. It'll get attached to the token here, and we're going to search with the Foolish Barrel Goods, send up the graveyard, special summon Griffin Rider before we get locked into waters, activate the Ice Barrier, search for that Kaiju, and we're going to get rid of our opponent's entire field here. Let's attack into all of their puny birds so that we can summon the Kaiju. Now that we're not locked into summoning wind monsters, let's Kaiju that Flounderies and M10, and then we can use the Dracoback to bounce that Kaiju back to hand, so if our opponent summons anything next turn, we can Kaiju it. Let's set our traps here. If we get left with just the adventure token, we can activate the spiral power if it's on the field. So that's why we set it here. Opponent gonna summon the bird, and we can negate its effect. So that's good news. But opponent has a Flounderies map, so they can banish that card on the field to search. Kind of a free search here. Still does get negated though. Unfortunately, they obviously searched the map, so map's going to give them more normal summons. They're going to normal summon the bird, Flounderies bird, and they're going to get Toucan back. But I think opponent makes a little bit of a mistake here by getting the Toucan, because they already summoned Toucan this turn. And there you go, they realized that they don't have the normal summon from the Toucan. Basically, Toucan had already been used, so they don't get an additional normal summon. They add that Flounderies to hand, but they can't summon anymore, and they're done. Shame scooping again. I wonder what would have happened if our opponent didn't misplay Search, because we had that negate effect from the Ice Bear. We had another Kaiju in hand, so I'm curious how that game would have gone if our opponent didn't misplay. But hey, not gonna complain. Birds, you know, they got bird brain, they can't think. Alright, let's go on to the deck list. Alright, here is the full deck list that I ended up with. Now, am I super confident with this? I don't think I am. I think that this could use some more tweaking. I'm not really sure about the adventure package. Honestly, I feel like you could just throw some Max C's into the deck, and that might be better a lot of the time. Max C, definitely very strong against a lot of decks, although not great against birds. You did see a lot of birds today. But maybe a couple Max C's, just more Ash Blossoms, more Imperms. Maybe that would be better than Adventure Package. Let me know what you think down in the comments. That's still pretty blinged out. They're all URs. Another copy of Super Poly also could be pretty good. Just some thoughts about the deck. Yeah, but it's still very strong. Gets a lot of wins. The blinged out version especially. Sometimes you just, you know, Jellyfish, Ocean Dragon Lord, and that's it. Opponent can't do anything. Always fun to make it so that your opponent doesn't get to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Alright, well, let's go through the extra deck just to make sure you see all the cards, because I don't want anyone to be asking questions down in the comments. Oh, what's that card? What's this card? Make sure you stick till the end. I will be announcing the contest winner very shortly. And like I said at the beginning of the video, go to the channel homepage. We'll be having a little poll on what archetypes you want me to bring back, what you want. It's like the finale of the year, coming back from the whole first year of Simp King videos. Thanks for joining, and let's get on to the contest winners. Alright, the contest winner is up on the screen here. If this is you, make sure to send me an email. Email's up on the screen here. And if you don't send me an email in the next week, one of the comments on this video is going to win. So if you did not win the contest, don't worry. Post a comment on this video, and if Jeff Barley doesn't answer, doesn't check their emails, never watches this video, I'll come back next week and I'll keep going until I give this pack away, because someone deserves it. One of you lucky viewers. Alright, thanks for watching. Make sure to check out the poll, and have a good night.